Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We are talking with Metro Councilman at Large Steve Glover, talking about a whole host of issues. We kind of set the table in the first part of the program. Certainly COVID, the state legislature, all of that came into play in the first part of the program. But I want to take some calls. Let's go to Reverend Fuzz. Reverend Fuzz, how are you?
Hey, Ben, and Councilman Glover, we're friends, okay? And I'm proud to call Steve a friend of mine, and I'm going to throw a couple questions at you. I know one of them Ben is going to ask you later on. Are you going to run for mayor? But the question I really want to get to, this is something that's bothered me throughout the COVID pandemic. People was talking about the government making rules and regulations and stuff. And I think about that, you got a speed limit the government set. Children can't go to school. They got to have these vaccines, chicken pox, and different things. They can't go to school unless they have those. We've always had those kind of rules. And there are always hundreds of government regulations that do our water and traffic and, licensures, all kinds of things. How is this COVID regulation, the mask and the vaccinations, how is that different from all the other government regulations like driving 70 or 35 and those kinds of things? And then you want to run for mayor. Thank you.
Reverend Fuzz, thank you for both those questions. All right, I'm going to take the first one first. Are you going to run for mayor?
I've got a lot of people asking me to do that. I did a thing today, a Facebook Live, and I said it's really too early to make that decision. There's a lot that has to go into it. I've got to look at every aspect of it, look at what the base looks like. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. It's just not time yet. You really got to understand the finances and what I think is the terrible shape we're in Nashville with our finances. It's a big job because I certainly would do things much more differently than has been done for the last multiple administrations. I don't think our priorities are right. I don't think we're funding properly in the areas we should be funding. And I think we're probably spending money in a lot of aspects and areas that we shouldn't. And I think we waste a lot of money that we shouldn't be wasting. So to answer the question, no decision's been made yet. It'll be a decision that my wife and I would make together. And I will tell you that in my household, she would have full veto power on this one because being council at large, being on the school board and other things takes me away a lot. But being mayor, that's a whole different animal. And so, I'm very grateful and I'm extremely humbled that so many people are asking me to run. And I'm taking it very seriously, but I'm also being very realistic about how I'm approaching it.
You said it's too early. When do you think you would know? When would it not be too early?
I think you look at this coming summer at some point. I mean, look, you go back and you look at all the people who announced way early. None of them are sitting downstairs on the first floor. So, Ben, I love history. I love history. I study history. And so, people we're creatures of habit. So therefore, I kind of look at what's the pattern, who does what, how did they get there, and all those aspects. Nobody thought I'd win council at large, but I went back and I looked at all the history and I studied it real intensely, and I got here. I got here because I was honest with the people. I spoke to them. I told them who I needed, and they came out for me, and I am forever grateful for that. And that's another reason that I am so determined that I'm going to make sure their voice is heard.
History would also say it's hard to beat an incumbent mayor. Not impossible, but hard.
That's
and
true.
Davidson County is a blue county. You're unabashedly conservative. And maybe that's enough to make you one of 5 at large, but can you just be conservative and win the one mayor spot?
Well, I'm going to say it to you like this. I bet there's a bunch of people who voted for the President of the United States today that wish they wouldn't have, because gas is more than double. Our economy is literally in shambles. Inflation is going rampant. We just had the largest increase in consumer pricing that we've seen in 30 years. And so I think people really, I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. But you know what? That's not what you would be as the mayor. You would be the guy leading, or the gal leading, and being the CEO of the city and making the right decisions that's going to be right for all of the citizens of Nashville. So me being a Republican, yeah, it makes it hard to get there. But you know me well enough to know, Ben, I'm going to look at every aspect of it to determine, is there a path? If there's absolutely no path, then I'm not going to waste my time with it, because you know it'll get nasty. You know it gets nasty. It shouldn't, but it does, because unfortunately that's what American politics has literally downgraded itself to in America. It shouldn't be that. It should be about the people and taking care of the people. Unfortunately, that's not the way everybody plays.
The other question from Reverend Fuzz, when you were talking about COVID, he said there are many government regulations. Kids have to be vaccinated to go to school. There are regulations about speed limit. There are many things the government tells us to do. How are these regulations that are designed to keep us safe, how are they different?
Well, here's the difference. Every one of those that you just mentioned are state mandates. It's really hard for individual cities to come in and say, okay, you got to do it this way here, when you don't have to do it anywhere else. So there's state mandates. When he was talking about the speed limit on the interstate, the state mandates that. The cities don't. Yes, in the neighborhoods, we do that. The zoning in the city, we do that for inside the city limits. But the regulations we're talking about there are state mandates. So you have two different ways that I really believe you have to look at it. Look, if the state says we've all got to do it, then I guess we'd all have to do it. And you'd have two choices in my mind. You can stay here and do it, or you can move to another state that says you don't have to. And so from my standpoint, you do have regulations, you do have mandates. I do believe that a number of those vaccines absolutely keep people safe. I have never said don't take the vaccine. Don't do it. I've never said that. I just said I took it. I wasn't real pleased with the results afterwards and things of that nature. I'll say that very loud and very clear. I think there's a lot of things that haven't been disclosed to the general public as I've read and understand it a little bit better now. But I still would never, ever block somebody from doing what they believe is going to be best for them as far as those things. You know, go get a flu shot, get the other shots that are necessary. I was sitting here trying to remember what's the if you've had the chicken pox or the shingles. I'm getting ready to have one of those things, because guess what? I never had the shingles, don't want to do the shingles. And so, you know, I will go get it, but those types of things aren't mandated. For children, absolutely. I get that piece of it. I'm just not certain on some of these things that it's absolutely necessary and that it's absolutely safe.
What's been so frustrating...
You got a lot of history on some of these others.
Right. What's been so frustrating is how politicized it has become. You say it's not a state mandate or a state law, but it is politicized. We have doctors saying it's what you should do. So you have science and doctors saying...
But I've got doctors who say you should. I mean, so you can find it on both sides. That's why it really boils down on this particular issue. And again, I know there's a bunch of people who are going to disagree with me, and I'm okay with that. Go ahead, disagree with me. You're allowed to have your opinion. I'm allowed to have mine. What I'm saying doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean you're right. We both can be correct. If you're comfortable and you want to do it, absolutely go do it. If you're uncomfortable with it, if you feel like that it's going to put yourself in danger, don't do it. I just think there's not enough history here. We've rushed into this. There's just not enough history on all the vaccines these kids have to take in order to go to these schools. You know, Ben, we've got a lot of years under our belt there. We don't have a lot of years under our belt here. And there have been deaths that have occurred with this. And so, you know, everybody is going to have their own opinion. I get it. But just because my opinion's different than perhaps someone else's doesn't mean that I'm the bad guy, or it doesn't mean you're the bad guy or bad girl or whatever. It just simply means that you are an adult. On this issue, I believe that it's got to be left up to you, because Ben, there's a lot of challenges with this stuff that a lot of us are not comfortable with.
Let's go to another call. Let's go to Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Ben. Oh, man, I can't believe this conversation is still going on. I guess he's in the Aaron Rodgers camp. I hope he doesn't run for mayor. We're already on a downward regressive slope in this state. I think it's interesting how Republicans, when they're in control, they're always like, keep the federal government out of our business. Let the states decide what they want to do. But then the states want to decide what individual municipalities do, and counties, individual counties. You know, you want to have it both ways. You want the federal government not telling the states what to do, but the states want to go in and change laws like we had decriminalized marijuana when Mayor Barry was here, was still in office. And then what did the state do? Oh, no, we can't do that, because now you got private court civic and all these police unions and everything that's going to basically stop us growing in our bottom line, because that's going to be less people that we can imprison. I just think, and as far as the whole mask thing, I would like you to go visit Vanderbilt, TriStar, talk to an ICU nurse. Let them take you where somebody who's suffering from COVID. Let them go there, get all masked up, and see what that person goes through, and see how many people have to work on that person at one time. I'm talking about sometimes 15 people in a room that's working on one patient. These people are tired. They've been through a lot. And people like you with your, the studies are not all way in, and the studies are in. People on both sides of different ideologies have agreed COVID is dangerous. It does kill. And sometimes Americans just don't know how to think for themselves, and you basically have to tell them, this is for your best. This is going to be helping you whether you realize it or not. This is something that's going to help you, and we need to take the science and take it and use it, and just don't let people walk around here all crazy, because we're going to end up like Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, who has the highest numbers right now. The last time I checked,
our numbers have been
of those two
pretty high.
So that's all I have to say tonight.
Okay, Mike, thank you. All right, a lot there. What do you want to say there?
I'm going to say the same thing I've always said. I will respectfully disagree, and we will agree to disagree on this. I'm not going to change my opinion. He's not going to change his. What I will simply say is, okay, you don't want me to run for mayor. That's fine. If you're happy with 26 to 34% property tax increases every few years, knock yourself out. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's broke, just keep doing what you're doing, because it will remain broke. This is one issue. There's a multitude of issues that the city's facing. We have the highest debt per capita of any city in the country. Nobody talks about that. You better start talking about it. We had the mayor proposed a 32% property tax increase. The council raised it 34 to 37%. If you're okay with that, keep doing what you're doing. COVID, I realize it is politicized. I get it. Everybody's got their own opinions on it. I've had friends die. I've never said that COVID is not a deadly issue. Never. I just think that in this issue that there are differing opinions. There is differing data. I've got a lot of friends who are doctors that, we've had long conversations about it. I'm allowed to have my opinion just like everybody else is allowed to have theirs. And so on that, like I said, I respectfully agree to disagree.
Okay. All right. We are going to take a break, come back, continue our discussion. Councilman at Large Steve Glover, if you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We'll take more calls when we come back right after this.